travel and hospitality industry not just is impacted now, will remain impacted for a significant period of time. But that said, OYO is going to be here for the long term. OYO will not just come back. It will, once again, the sunny days will come and we will thrive again. I believe COVID and its impact will fundamentally change the way hospitality will be seen in the years to come. And one of those things may be, as you're saying, work from home and similar preparations. There are multiple things that I'm seeing as becoming normal in the new world. For instance, ensuring social distancing signs at the lobby area, at the corridors, and so on, in the form of circles where people can walk so that people are always following social distancing. Zero touch in the form of no touch for accepting key cards, ID cards, food at the room service, and so on and so forth. Payments being highly promoted in the form of digital payment programs. Sanitization and checks of sanitization being pasted in each part of the entire hotel experience. Being able to make sure you have higher bandwidth, because more and more people will try to have video conferences even if they are in the hotel room. OYO's revenues are very substantially impacted to the extent where we last publicly discussed that the revenues fell by 50 to 60% and may get worse. But that said, I think we are starting to see in the month of May or early trends of recovery in some parts across the world.
What about your other businesses that you had entered? Whether it was co-sharing of office space, the wedding business, will you stay in all of that?
So I think, let's focus on our core. Our primary core businesses are our hotels and vacation homes, which drive majority of our revenue. And I think at this point of time, our focus is to make sure that we create value there. But that said, let me share examples of one of our businesses, for example, weddings. Weddings in the last few years has created a clear leadership in the wedding business in our country. And as you may have seen of the recent announcements, even though hospitality and hotels are primarily available only for stranded tourists, frontliners, or housing reasons, the wedding venues are actually being utilized for up to 50 people, which is a huge deal. That how can this be open? But just fundamentally, the need of people to get married and the importance that it is there in our Indian society, make sure that people will continue to get married outside. We do expect that for the next 2 quarters, there will be a significant drop in terms of consumers.
Yeah, right. Those big, I'm a Punjabi, so I'm allowed to say this, those big fat Punjabi weddings and all that money being spent. I don't know if that's going to happen for some time, right?
Yeah, I was telling Sandeep, who's our weddings founder and CEO, that a few weeks back, saying, Sandeep, maybe all the weddings in the future may happen over Zoom calls, but his view was over time it may change. And what we've seen is it's amazing the number of bookings we continue to see in weddings in the winter season. A lot of people are moving their bookings from the summer season to the winter. So the perspective of getting wedded in India in a real wedding fashion, of course, it will be smaller than the big fat Punjabi wedding maybe. But I think my thesis that maybe in the future there may be weddings just on Zoom calls is been proven wrong, especially with the bookings that we have seen in the last few weeks.
Okay, people are postponing their weddings, so let's see how that part of the business carries out. But Ritesh, for all of those who are tuning in, there'll be a lot of people, everyone's nervous these days, right? They don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, day after, next week, next month. So all of those that you are in business with, your OYOpreneurs, are you maybe revisiting also, you need to have so many properties? Does it make sense to have all of them, certain geography? Would you reconsider all of that?
Sure. I think, of course, to begin with, one of the things that you yourself mentioned is that did we grow too quick? I think in reflection, we could have been more measured in our growth. And as we look at our, long-term aspirations, this is a reflection that we started actually in early part of this year, regardless of the COVID impact. So our focus on our customer service has ensured that we have engaged with our partners, made any changes in our portfolio if we needed to, both by means of customer service or economics, already in the months of January and early February at such period of time. So I think at this point of time, our belief is we are at a place where the base is good. Of course, it's impacted by the COVID situation, but to the extent we are really prepared for serving our customers by means of the zero touch SOP, our partners by means of ensuring that they have the technology and the yield that they could receive. I believe that there is a real opportunity, in the times to come for OYO to create disproportionate value.
I want to ask you one thing. What's the future of hospitality? You gave us a little glimpse of it from the lobby to the room. Can we talk a little bit more about that? For example, will the king size bed stay, queen size bed stay? We're going to need disposable sheets, disposable towels. How are you going to sanitize the room all the time that people feel safe entering? And isn't that going to throw the cost metrics completely out of gear?
Sure, and I think that is why technology is extremely critical to be a leveler. You may remember that for a long period of time in the hospitality industry, and various hotel chains have constantly said, well, technology removes personalized experience. But in today's world, being able to resist technology by using excuses like those will not remain, and we will need to, of course, remember that there is a good old world hospitality, but combine that with technology as a leveler for lower costs. The few things I believe, especially in my visits to hotels that I'm seeing will fundamentally change will be lobbies being very dense will reduce. You will see people practicing social distancing very actively at the lobbies. Expect a thermal gun to welcome you to check your temperature when you walk into the hotel lobby. Expect in a lot of hotels a glass wall to be able to make sure that there is some kind of social distancing between you and the receptionist. Expect seeing all the team members with masks at all points of times. So regardless of whether they're smiling and serving you, the smiles will be behind the mask, but hopefully you will feel the warmth in the way we and the broader industry serves customers. There would be a change in terms of how the room service is provided. Earlier, room service will come right into your room, serve you the food and leave. Maybe in the future, the room service will leave the food at a specific place outside the room or at the corner of the room. So at each part of the experience, you will see a relatively different part of the experience. And of course, my colleague Aditya should talk a little bit about both hospitality and aviation as to how it will change in aviation, because some of those will have a trickle-down effect in our industry as well.
Good, you can tell him to come for an interview. I messaged him the other day. So that's good to know how the new, what hospitality could look like. And inside the room, how are you going to sanitize? Are you going to be using disposable towels, disposable sheets? And you have to ensure quality control also.
Sure, look, everybody in the hospitality industry is coming up with new ways to reassure the customer for the level of sanitization they're bringing. For instance, you may have heard about the recent Hilton and Lysol partnership, where they are trying to ensure that they use Lysol material to reassure customers. Marriott is bringing medical grade disinfectants. OYO is bringing its own high quality products to ensure that we can bring sanitization and constantly bring a way of ensuring that we can remind the customer that this place was sanitized earlier. So various companies will come up with new ways to reassure the customer that this room is not just a good place. It's actually a Suraksha room or a Suraksha hotel. The same way as you've heard about Suraksha stores, I believe the Suraksha rooms and Suraksha hotels will very soon be a reality.
Suraksha rooms. I like that. Is that what you're going to brand it as?
I don't know. Too early for me to say.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you a few other questions. There was one video which I think had everyone very emotional, and that was when we saw the global chief of Marriott, come out with that video message. Recently, Brian Chesky of Airbnb has been winning a lot of hearts by, trying to find jobs and placements. How did you feel? Because these are stalwarts in your own right. They're also your competitors. You're so young and you're a big challenger to them. Of course, Airbnb invested in OYO as well. I want to ask you, how did you react to that and what did it do for you?
Sure. Look, I think Arnie's video to begin with was very, very emotional. And as I was making or shooting my video explaining about the furloughs in our business, I think literally every few minutes I would think about him and I would then relate. It's just an incredibly challenging feeling to be really saying those sentences, but knowing that you're literally looking at your team members in the eye, who you have shared workspaces with, worked together with, and so on. And followed up with Brian, who's, of course, in my view, one of the most fantastic leaders of our generation. I'm very thankful to count Airbnb as a shareholder in our business. And just the way he has been thoughtful in being able to make sure that they do right by the team members has been very inspirational. So my perspective is I'm very thankful to be a part of an industry which has stalwarts like Arnie and Chesky leading various segments. And there is so much for us to learn. And there is so much for us to do to be able to create a brand and a company that in the long term, could potentially create a significant amount of impact.
Can I ask you that when you were shooting a video, did you manage to do it in one take? Did you have to take multiple takes?
So, well, I shot two videos. The one that was relatively the smaller version is the one that got shared. The other one, I was told by a couple of people was that it was too long, and people may not have the patience to see it. I think at some point of time I will put it out, because that was really something that I was not cognizant of the time, and I just stopped as if I was speaking to some of our team members. So yeah, it was two different videos.
How long was it?
16 minutes.
That's not so long. Okay, but I'm from television.
But on the social media, I think, for people to see a 16-minute video maybe is too long. I mean, that's what I thought.
And tell me something, how have you personally survived this crisis? Because, there's a human angle to it. It's like the dystopian future is here, right? Like we've been very soon to use an app to just leave our home, which you can told the gate, and it's like a Lakshman Rekha. But having said that, how have you personally dealt with it? Because you have to be responsible for yourself, but you have all of these thousands on thousands of people who are relying on you. What did you do? How did you stay calm? How did you get to it?
Sure, I think, look, to begin with, this is a learning experience, but I believe tough times bring people together. I think this has been the time where our management, our team members, our hotel partners, our customers, our board members, our friends in the ecosystem, there has been significantly more engagement with people at this point of time. I think a lot of people who know how healthy the core of the company is have been very appreciative about why we are in the situation where we are, but at the same time why they feel confident that in the years to come, don't know when, don't know how, but OYO will come out stronger. So I think being able to have everybody come together and be prepared for fighting this crisis together and seeing through this has been, in my view, the summary of the last month and a half for me.
I know your dog must be very happy. Finally got you captive in one place, not jet setting and all of that. But how has it been working from home? Is it going to be the new normal for OYO?
Sure, I think we have continued to be working from home all throughout this period, other than a couple of little places which are essential where people need to be at a place. Our belief is this is something that's not a part of the short term. We believe that this is a part of irreplaceable change where companies will have to prepare and design their culture and as a business to work, if not fully, partly in work from home for a very long time, even post COVID. And companies will get used to it in the times to come. And no questions that OYO will be a part of that system, and we will be progressive to be a company which will prepare itself to be one of the businesses that can, if not fully, but partly run itself with a sizable part of the workforce working from home. You must
And
have
how have you
seen
managed to
Twitter.
stay? Yeah, I
You
saw
must have
Twitter's
seen
not going to go
recently
back.
Twitter and Facebook and other companies making significant decisions in that regard.
And yeah, in fact, Twitter has said it can become a permanent feature. Google has said for the rest of the year they're going to definitely stick with work from home. But Ritesh, I remember I've always had to get an interview with you when you just have a short window in India. You're always jet setting. How is that going? Because you must be having to stay awake at all kind of odd hours to coordinate with all the various countries that you're in. So, like, are you still jet lagged all the time? Like, how are you handling this part?
Look, I think I'm thankful to have it's an honor for me to have the opportunity to serve OYO. And at the same time, nobody wants a crisis like this. But I believe that these are the times where a leader's job is to over-engage, over-communicate, and make sure that they're in touch with as many people as they are internally and to some part externally. And I'm trying to do the best I can in these times. I may not be at my absolute best. For that, I'm sorry. But I'm absolutely learning every day and trying to be a better leader for our team members and our key stakeholders, including our customers and partners. So while I'm
I know. I want to know how you're awake for business hours in Southeast Asia, India, China, Europe, America. How are you doing it? Like, do you have like a week for one continent, a day for a continent? Because now you can't travel anywhere. How are you doing it?
So for me and for all of us, I think it's the passion of of seeing what we do in the years to come that keeps us going. I think I feel I work slightly less harder than a lot of other entrepreneurs in my company. So I think the reason why everybody keeps at it is because of the passion of being co-creators of something that we can all be proud of in the years to come. So I believe that's the reason we are able to keep at it.
Are you sleeping more or sleeping less?
Sleeping reasonable enough in amount of time. I believe good sleep is critical. One of the key things that I expected to do this year was to sleep an hour and a half more than last year. So improving that. But of course, some days, because of, like you said, time zones, it may take longer period. But I try to reduce this in the other days. I believe getting the minimum 5-6 hours of sleep is critical, and ideally longer. But if you're relatively younger, you can afford that time.
Yeah, you have to sleep more, Ritesh, because you got to boost your immunity too, right? But it's good to have you on the show. Thank you for being candid. Stay safe, stay healthy, and from the entire team at ET Now, our good wishes with you and everybody at OYO.
Thanks, Nayantara, in the hopes of making sure that being vocal for local will ensure that a local brand built out of South City in Gurgaon can potentially, when the overcast conditions go away and the sunny days come back, can be a brand that many of our fellow countrymen and women will be proud of. Thank you.